So we went to New York to spread my dad's ashes. That's where my dad is from. We stayed up with my Aunt Tina and Uncle Richard. They live in Endicott, New York, which is about 3.5 hours from Manhattan. They call it upstate. To me, it looks downstate. It's near the Pennsylvania border, Scranton, where The Office was filmed. Okay, some exteriors were filmed there, season 1. But we went out there. We stayed there for 3 nights. The first thing that hit me was NY, upstate, downstate, the burbs, Endicott specifically. It's built different. Like, there were no fences in my Aunt Tina's backyard. We go out there. We spent a lot of time just hanging in the backyard. Uncle Richard did an amazing setup. Like this garden he built with heavy rocks, and it was a whole deal. But we hung out there, and you just see your neighbors. There's no fences. Uncle Richard said there's like a little divot that indicates property line, but you can't see it from the naked eye from where I was sitting. So you just see houses. It's completely foreign to us. We're used to like suburbs in California, Northern and Southern California. It's like house design A, house design B, these giant developers like D.R. Horton or KB Home or whatever. They build a couple hundred houses, house design A, house design B, house design C. Repeat, house design A, house design B, house design C, right next to each other, 3 feet apart from each other sometimes. But at my Aunt Tina's, you're just looking at your neighbors, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's bedlam. It's madness. Your mom is originally from like.
She spent a lot of her childhood in Maryland.
Yeah.
And it was the same way. She remembers that. No fences, just open space between neighbors.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. You know what? It's more visually pleasing.
Yes.
We have all these little fences that block your view and separate us.
We're all in our little squares, serving the man, working for the man, paying homage to the man, paying taxes to the man. But there's a real, like, just openness. We saw some neighbors just watering their plants, doing their thing, walking around. And it was like, well, what is this? What is this madness? But if you think about it, they're first because they're on the East Coast. So developers turned it comes down to money and being able to produce as many houses in as tightest space as possible for as much money as possible. Connections, small town USA, Endicott, New York. My aunt, like the house they currently live in, which we stayed in, the previous owners, she went to school with their son. She runs into people at the market. The house that she moved from was sold to someone she used to work with. And Endicott has about 13,000 people. But it's just so many like connections, and so like I run into people, I know people. Did you kill a gnat?
I just killed a baby spider.
Oh dear. But again, completely different, completely foreign to our way of life.
Lots more personal connections, lots more just human connection.
Yeah.
Whereas we go through a realtor, a stranger.
Yeah.
All our neighbors are strangers.
Yeah.
We don't.
It's ironic because they have space in between them. They're not huge plots of land, but they got a little grass between her and her neighbors. And they know each other. And like Uncle Richard was telling me, for no reason whatsoever, we're just randomly talking, but we're standing in the driveway. And he points to the house across the street. Yeah, they're from Warsaw. They came from Warsaw. And then they came over here, and they really made a life. How do they make their money, Uncle Richard? Oh, he was a teacher. And I was like, what? and there's space in between the neighbors. We are on top of our neighbors in this little condominium complex. We don't know jack, dude. It's strange. But actually, probably the better statement is that we're strange, and what they're doing, what they're up to, is not strange.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if this not knowing anything about your neighbors is that a cultural thing, or is that just you and I? Because you and I are pretty antisocial and keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
Apart from baking bread for our neighbors at Christmas time.
Yes, and that's coming up. So I've been out there once. I was 13, so I didn't really know what was happening, or I was just an idiot kid. But I really wanted to soak in the ambiance of small town USA, Endicott, New York. So I said, take me to your finest McDonald's. I want to compare the menu, and take me to your local Dollar Tree so I can compare the inventory mix. What's going on? What products do you have? What products do you don't? Local celebrities, honey, from Endicott, New York. Comedians Amy and David Sedaris.
Wow.
Very fascinating.
Oop.
So going back to tradition and roots and family, my dad and his sister, their family, grew up in Endicott. We went by their high school. My dad was a star wrestler there, kicked much ass. So I said, let me in on the wrestling gym, and I'll take down a freshman, maybe even a sophomore. Okay, I'll wrangle with him. I'll bring him down. It'll be like the end of Karate Kid. But they're Italian. And Italian, it's palpable. It's who you are. It's what you eat. It's how you conduct yourself. Ethnicity. It's a huge part of your culture and your heritage.
And there's still a connection to the old country because you heard about your grandparents who immigrated to New York, and there's still some family over there. Your aunt's been to Italy and met some family, and it's just, it's in their culture. It's in the food we eat. It's a
way of life. It's how they conduct themselves.
It's so different from here in California. Anyone I've ever met or come across, people out here do say, I'm Italian, I'm Irish, and it means nothing.
It's completely meaningless.
It's in your DNA, but you don't see that. It's not apparent with anyone who grows up here in California.
You're a Californian who lives in a suburban tract home with zero personality. We're so bland out here. We're so boring. Compared to what's going on out there, it was just culture shock. But I loved it. How my aunt and uncle and aunt operate. So they drive to get their bread. Ithaca is it's like an hour away. It's where Cornell is, the Ivy League school. They drive an hour to get their bread from Ithaca Bakery. My aunt was saying, you call up, you order 7 loaves, and then you go pick it up. And I was like, what? Because we get crappy bread from Walmart. We get crappy, low-calorie bread. Yet they're super skinny. They're carbing it up. They have no worries. They're in great shape. They look fantastic. But again, just a completely 180. We do Walmart. We look for crappy, low-calorie bread. That's probably overpriced, my mom would think. They drive an hour to get their bread.
I didn't want to tell Aunt Tina that our olive oil is great value Walmart brand, but
thank you.
Maybe she's hearing it right now.
She would have kicked us out. She would have kicked us to the curb. Speaking of kicking us to the curb, there's no homeless. We walked around, 0 tents. We saw some people down on their luck, not having a great time in life, I would assume. But 0 homeless, 0 encampments. Breath of fresh air. My cousin Emily was saying that there's more indigent people over near Binghamton, which is 10 minutes away-ish. But yeah, it's just like they don't have that issue, and it was fantastic. Going to my cousin Emily, we're walking down the street because I'm like, take me to Main Street and let me see what's cracking. And we just walk by someone, and she says it's someone she knows. And then just going back to friendliness, Anytown, USA. So we went to CVS. They went to Price Chopper, which is the supermarket here. And I'm saying Emily and her husband Kai. So we split up, and then we met them, and we went over to Price Chopper to meet up with them. We're leaving, and she's like, all right, see you later, Devin. I'm like, and we're walking out. And I go, oh, is that your high school friend? Did you go to high school with that guy? She's like, no, I just met him. And I was like, what? Like, super friendly.
Emily's very friendly.
Yeah.
She talks to everybody that we come across.
Tina too.
Yes.
I mean, endless stories of her just meeting people randomly, and then they have a fabric together. They have a connection together of cousins or coworkers or just family in general. Blowing my mind. I loved it.
Yeah.
I wish we had that. We
yeah.
don't have that.
I wonder, I guess that's something that you develop when you live in perhaps a more rural area, because
Yeah.
you need to make connections
Yeah.
to help each other out
Yeah.
and, exchange goods and just, you have more of a connection with people because you're a more tight-knit community.
Yeah.
Because you're far away from the big city.
Yeah. I want that. We saw Amish. We were driving. We saw some Amish people out in somewhere between this city and that city. Where were we going? Ithaca.
We saw a Mennonite girl.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later on, we saw an Amish girl. And
Yeah.
Emily explained the difference.
Yeah.
And there's some Amish farms out there.
Yeah. I wanted to like stop and put on some Amish garb, cosplay a little.
Cultural appropriation.
And oop.
Yeah, it made me think of the movie Kingpin, starring Woody Harrelson and Randy Quaid, were Amish. Okay, maybe they were Quakers, but they figured prominently.
And oop.
Okay.
So there were dirty dishes, and you wanted to do them. You offered to do them. Me and Uncle Richard had to hold you back from washing these dirty dishes. And it wasn't like they were piling up, falling out of this thing. It was just a couple coffee mugs. What is this inclination? Because you do this at your parents too. It's time to go, but I'll do the dishes first. I'm going to help with the dishes first. Someone was like, oh, okay, what?
Well, because that's how I have value, is by being helpful and useful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what am I doing here?
I provide zero value. I offer to do nothing. I offer to pay for nothing. Because our money is no good there, going back to hospitality and old school Italians. Even Emily picked us up from the airport, and she was like, prepare to eat from the second you walk in. And it was absolutely 100% true. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to take this time. I don't have to make coffee. I don't have to do dishes. We don't have to cook. We don't have to pay for anything. Yeah. And then I was zesty on vacation. Took a shower the first night. And then the second night I didn't. Because I was like, I'm vacation zesty. I'm not terrible. It was muggy out there. Did get a little musty. But the second night, I was like, I just want to crash and pass out. And I was lazy. And then I slept terribly the whole night because I was like, I should have taken a shower.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I forgot my toothbrush in Sacramento. And so I asked if I could borrow yours. And you were hesitant, honey. Why?
Well, I don't think that's a good idea.
What? Why not?
Well, it's unhygienic.
We share many fluids, honey. We were in Reno or Tahoe, but I forgot a laundry bag, a garbage bag to bring that I could throw my dirty clothes into while we were cavorting on vacation. And you refused to share your laundry garbage bag with me. What's the deal, honey?
In hindsight, I should have shared my laundry bag with you. I thought it would be a hassle to try to separate our dirty clothes when we came home.
Isn't that part of the vows through marriage and forgetting toothbrushes and laundry bags? We didn't do Boom Boom. Auntie and Uncle Richard's house, it's older, built in the 50s, but thinner walls, wooden floors. It would have been loud, echoey, although it wouldn't have lasted very long. I mean, right, honey? But we didn't do it. We thought about it. But we're respectful. We're respectful guests. And that bed, it was the one where you yank out of a pull-away, right?
Yeah.
You yank out of the couch, which I dug because I like a hard, firm surface for my old aching back. But Boom Boom was not in the cards. Okay. We went out there to spread my dad's ashes. So if you're just joining us, my dad died about 5 months ago. I found out about 4 months ago. He was not in my life for about 35 years. He's originally from New York. He went to California when he was 25 because he got involved with the wrong crowd. He did some bad things, and he went to California to start a new life and have me.
He went to California just for you, honey.
Yes, and it was worth it. That's a little prologue. By the way, I recently read a book. I'm reading the book, but I wasn't paying attention, so I just started reading it. And 3 pages in, this sounds like a prologue, but I kept reading. 6 pages in, when's he going to get to the good stuff? After 9 pages, it's the end. I look up, it's the prologue. I was like, what the hell, dude?
All that reading and you haven't even started chapter 1 yet.
I don't need no prologue. Like, what the hell? It's like a Marvel cutscene. It's like a DVD extra. I don't need that.
Why isn't the prologue just chapter 1?
Because it's not good enough. It
should have been on the editing floor.
It doesn't make the cut. Yeah. Or like write it on a blog or something. I was like, I just wasted 9 pages of my life. Anywho. So we got the ashes. He died outside Houston. They mailed him to my Aunt Tina. First of all, there were hecka ashes, dude. Like, it was a heavy box, and it's a giant bag in this box. I'd say it was 10, 15 pounds. And so Uncle Richard did this whole, he was like a freaking technician in the lab. But so he starts pouring it into a bunch of old pill bottles, medical bottles, and just little empty bottles Aunt Tina has around. We filled like 10 bottles, and we still have a good 50% of his ashes. So it's too much. I guess they can't disintegrate it further, but it's like, dude, like this is a lot of ashes. So the plan was to spread his ashes first at a bridge. We went to it was a 3-hour tour, a 3-part tour. It was like we were a rock band on tour. We went to 3 different locations. First, we spread his ashes at a bridge he used to jump off into the river. And then we went to Trout Ponds Park, which is where he used to frolic as a young man. And then we went to a cemetery to spread the ashes at his dad's grave, on top of his dad's grave. Now, my aunt had a vision, but she didn't explain it well, or I couldn't see it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And also, we're doing this via text, so it's very difficult. I was a little skeptical. She said, a lot of people are going to show up. Well, first of all, I was like, people are going to show up? My dad was there 50 years ago. He was there for a short amount of time. So, no offense, but you're going to have like 70-year-olds showing up with some stories from 50 years. It didn't make sense to me. And I was like, sure, Aunt Tina, whatever. It went perfectly, flawlessly. But initially I was like, okay. But she was like, just go with it. We'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. First of all, she brought real plates and silverware. She was like, we're not eating on paper plates for your dad. It's not that kind of event. So she brought like real plates, real silverware to a picnic in a park. Classy move. Loved it. We got a bunch of sandwiches and salads from a place called Annie's Place in Newark Valley, New York. This is where the Trout Ponds Park is. She had music. So we went through... The night before, we went through a bunch of oldies. She was just going through Apple Music, going through a bunch of 50s songs. I thought it was a good... There wasn't dancing, but it was like a good heartbeat to the whole thing. It was a nice move. The weather was perfect. It was a little warm in the morning, but then it got gloomy. Like I said, it was a little musty. But overall, perfect weather. It wasn't rainy. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't too hot. Weather was outstanding. I went to this place when I went as a 13-year-old to Trout Ponds Park. My family had a reunion. That's when I first met Aunt Tina. So I went here 30 years ago. It was like a whole full circle thing. Life comes back at you. The place was gorgeous. Well, that entire area, upstate, downstate New York, tons of green. We would just be driven around, and we're just like, wow, it's beautiful.
It's really lush. Lots of hills and tons of trees, just green everywhere you turn.
Tons of cute towns that we rolled through. And last time I was there was in Octoberish, Novemberish. So all that green was orange and red and yellow. Beautiful. But that area of New York is lovely to look at. There were no trash cans at the park. So we went to Trout Ponds Park, and then we went to another park the next day, Cayuga Lake Park. Part of the Finger Lakes family, honey. There's no trash cans, dude. It's really weird. Like, you're done with something. You're done with your sandwich. And they brought bags. We brought bags to collect the trash. So New York State parks have this policy called carry in, carry out, meaning if you bring it in, you bring it out, and then take care of it. You dispose of it somewhere. And I was like, okay, that could be a recipe for disaster, but there was no litter.
Yeah, the 2 parks we went to, I didn't see any trash on the ground. So people are responsible, I guess, for the most part. I'm sure you have some who don't follow the rules, but at least what we saw, it was very clean and people took responsibility.
Yeah, you saw there's some ne'er-do-wells, but yeah, it blew my mind. You could never get away with that in California. Or maybe you could. Maybe we don't trust people enough, or we don't have faith in humanity. I don't have faith in humanity, but it's working out there. I felt like a celebrity. Okay, I felt like I was on tour because a lot of people came here to pay tribute to my dad and meet me, and that was cool. So we get together. There's about 20 people, mostly cousins, and it was just a moment. Like, there were laughs, there were tears, tons of memories. I remember your dad doing this, and we did this, and he did this, and then just family stuff, like his mom would cook, and lots of food talk. Italians are big on food. How about that spaghetti? Just eating this and this candy drawer, and we used to fish with your dad and jump off bridges and just get into hijinks with your dad. And I loved everything. Everyone was, you look just like your dad. You're so handsome. Well, thank you. Do you want a selfie? And they called him Vinci back in the day when he was a kid. Lennox calls me Vinci, Da Vinci. I thought that was just came full circle. That was a trip. But it was just like, I was super skeptical, but it played itself out perfectly.
It was such a nice day, such a beautiful tribute. Your aunt brought old yearbooks, and she bookmarked pages where your dad was featured. Yeah. Tons of old pictures throughout his youth, and you provided pictures, and she had some of you when you were a baby with your dad. Yeah. The table setting, as you mentioned, she brought real plates. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit nicer. It wasn't your typical like picnic in the park. It was classy. And a lot of things, this was a really nice touch. Aunt Tina brought like salt and pepper shakers that were from their childhood home.
Yeah, they were really significant.
Tablecloths that I believe were at her parents' house. Yeah. Or her grandparents' house. Yeah. So there was like a personal, sentimental touch to everything. Yeah. And it was so lovely.
She's so good. She did so well. Someone asked her, can you do my funeral party arrangement? And I said, dude, you could be like Martin Short in the
Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride.
You could
be a wedding planner. You could be an ash spreading planner. But tons of questions. Some people didn't know I existed. Some people didn't know that he ever made it out to San Diego. So they were asking about me and us and our lives and what we do. We told them about Lennox and Luna, asking about my mom. A lot of people didn't even know about my mom. I'm showing them pictures of us. I'm showing them pictures of my mom, pictures of Lennox and Luna. And we were strangers, but we were family. And it was an odd feeling, but it was really familiar and comfortable.
It was really cool how you got to hear stories from your dad's youth that you didn't know about, and then they got to hear stories from his California years that they didn't know about. So that was nice exchange of stories. Yeah. Everyone was so friendly and warm and welcoming and just made us feel like we were part of the group. Yeah. Yeah. And even though I don't look like none of them, or I guess I look like my dad,
And well, I wondered how you would figure into the mix because I've been out there once in 1990, 30 years ago. 30 years ago? Yeah, 32 years ago. So I figured how am I going to fit into this whole thing? And how are you going to fit? Because even I barely know them, Tina and Richard, in the grand scale of things. But they like their house just felt like home. And then, yeah, the event, everyone was just lovely. Tons of smiles, warmed my freaking heart, my cold, dead heart. It was just a wonderful time. And so we eat, we congregate, and we spread the ashes. And can you describe the flowers, my Aunt Tina? She grabbed them from an antique store.
A beautiful touch. I think Aunt Tina wasn't out looking for this, but she happened to come across a ton of little, like, handmade flowers.
Yeah.
They were made out of wood chips.
Yeah.
They looked and felt like paper.
Yeah.
And there were a few different designs, roses. I don't know what the other flowers are called. Yeah. And they were quite small, like they fit into the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
So you and Tina each had ashes to put into the creek, and then everyone there got a flower. So we all threw a flower into the creek.
Yeah, it was really like a good like participation thing because Tina and I, we each spread ashes on our own in front of everybody. Everybody was gathered together. But yeah, it was a really nice just gesture, movement that everyone throws some ashes.
It was beautiful watching all the white flowers go down the creek.
Yeah. Some got stuck, and then Uncle Richard grabbed this giant stick, and he started, like, moving rocks around and water.
He freed the flowers, so they continued down the creek.
Free those flowers, Uncle Richard.
And I love that also because they're going to disintegrate, and you're not leaving any trash.
Appeals to your tree hugger side, honey.
Oh, yeah.
So Aunt Tina, she wasn't broken up, but she just couldn't say anything. I said a few words. I'm not going to try to repeat myself because I hate when people do that. It was in the moment. It's on film. I'm pretty sure one uncle or cousin, someone was filming. I don't know where it is. But I spoke from my heart. And I said, he is my hero. My dad is my hero. I'm going to cry right now. Pause. Do a slow close-up, honey, with the camera. Zoom in on my face because it's about to get emotional. I'm not going to try to regurgitate what I said, but I was in the moment. It was a few sentences, and it was just, I spoke from my cold, dead heart, my previously mentioned cold, dead heart. It began lightly sprinkling right after I spread the ashes. So you can say, oh, that was completely random, or you can say that was my dad, or you can say that was God, or you can say that was just the universe acting. But it was moving. It was a little noteworthy, depending on what purpose you want to assign to it. But there were kids there, so there were like young boys, shirtless young boys, running around causing mayhem, and that was my dad 70 years ago, dude. That was my dad 70 years ago, running around with sticks, being up to God knows what. And that really like hit me. That really touched me. Aunt Tina kept saying he would have loved this. Absolutely. Just coming together. It was just love. It was just all love. And it's a unique situation with what my dad, the kind of life he led. But it was just, it was right. It was perfect. My dad was an interesting dude. He led a complex life, but he was free, and it was his choice to be free, to be homeless, to be off the grid, and holding down a job and coming home every night at 5 p.m. and then getting up at 8 a.m. It was just not in his DNA. He couldn't do that. So he lived this other life, which is freaking unimaginable to me. Like, just you don't know anything, and I'm sure there's danger, and just struggle, and I couldn't in my wildest dreams live that life. I would never want to live that life, but that was his choice, and you can't take that away from him. So 7-8 years ago, Antina came out to Oakland, and we hung out for the day. It was like 6, 7, 8 out. We walked around, we ate, drove around a little. And at one point, she said, well, if I get the call about him dying, do you want me to call you? Do you want me to let you know? And I told her no. I don't know why I told her no. I'm an idiot. I was in my mid to late 30s. I'm not angry. I was never angry at him. I think it was just me saying, what would be the point? But us going to New York was the freaking point, dude.
Thank goodness she didn't listen to you, and she did call you when she found out he passed.
Yeah.
That was a good choice.
Yeah, and we talked about it this past week. And she said, I think you might have changed your mind. I just wanted to throw it out there. But yeah, I don't know what my thinking was. Well, I think my thinking was just like, I haven't seen him for 30 years. What does it matter? What does it mean to me? How's that going to affect my life? Thank goodness she called me. Thank goodness we had this time. We went through a bunch of old pictures and letters, and like my dad. So he's in his late teens, early 20s. He's writing to his little sister, Antina, who's 8 years, his junior, 10 years, something like that. But he's writing these letters. The one she had me read because she knew what was in it. Him and his friends go to this bar, and they get into a brawl. And then they go outside, and they like scratch up Key, the guy's car who they got into a fight with. And then they can't get back to the bar. And then the guys in the bar come outside, and there's a freaking car chase ensues. It's just like, why are you writing to your little sister? Oh my gosh.
It was fun to see his handwriting, wasn't it? I thought that was cool.
Yeah, writing letters, man. The other letter I did read, he just, and this was in his early mid-20s, he just had regret. Like, he wished he had more time with his parents. He skedaddled to California, or he was just rolling with the homies, the bad people. So he spent little to no time with straight people, really, including his mom and dad. One thing that Tina, she still wanted to do was the original plan was for us to fly to Houston, grab the ashes, split them up, do God knows what with it. Although 15 pounds of ashes, that's a lot of splitting up. But she still was talking about when we were in New York, she's like, I wanted to like talk to people and investigate, essentially interview homeless people about my dad and kind of man he is and what kind of life he led.
I understand that desire.
I don't.
Well, I mean, yeah, I totally understand that desire. Just like, what was he doing in his these final years of his, and who knew him, and what did his life look like? Yeah. We don't know.
Well, I have an idea of all those questions: struggle, survival, just trying to get by, just living, and I don't want to remember my dad that way. I don't want to know that stuff. But thankfully, we weren't like in Houston poking around in homeless encampments. And those people don't want to be interviewed. They don't want to talk. It could have been bad.
Maybe, yeah.
There was cash, no wallet, no bag, no clothes. Well, I mean, he was wearing clothes, but we didn't get him. I don't need his clothes. But there's $134 in cash. I'm going straight to the club, honey. We're going to make it rain. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think, I was thinking of just taking you out, showing you off at Firehouse. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Firehouse Restaurant.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. You can pan out on the... No more zoom in. No more close-ups, please. Pan out. We're going to the wide shot. Camera B. Shot B. Let's talk about what really matters, honey. Food. What we ate when we out there. What we ate when we were out there.
When we out there.
we out there eating. We got a couple takeout for the ashes spreading, and then the next day we went to Cuyahoga Park to meet a few more, Cuyahoga Lake, to meet a few more people. But we didn't go to a restaurant, which I thought was fabulous. Like, they were cooking. Tina cooked one meal. Kai, Emily's husband, who is a chef at some fancy vegetarian restaurant in Vancouver, cooked. So first of all, Kai flirted with making poutine for us. Vladimir Putin. He didn't. I wanted to try it.
We still have to have that someday.
That would have been good. First night we went there, Kai, who is half Korean, half Japanese, half white. Mahapa brute.
Three halves.
Oh yeah. Hey, no math on the pod. So first thing, he made some noodles, japchae or japchae noodles. They're essentially thin rice noodles with some veggies, and then he made bulgogi, which is a meat with sauce. I would throw it in the family of the meat from beef and broccoli. Gyoza, which is essentially a pot sticker, which is thinner dough. It's Japanese, but he Koreanized them. I don't know how. And then he made fried anchovies. One bowl was hot, spicy. One bowl was sweet. The guy's a freaking genius. This meal, like, set it off, dude. Night one. And we were up for 40 hours straight. We didn't sleep on the freaking plane. Red eye. Worst flight ever. But... We were rolling. We got second wins. We got third wins. But this meal was unbelievable. I thought the nudes were good. The bulgogi was good. Gyoza, fried anchovies, not my thing.
I was so excited to try these. I've never eaten just a whole anchovy.
Yeah.
I think once 20 years ago I accidentally got some on a pizza.
Yeah.
So you just pick up the whole little fishy with your chopstick and you eat the thing whole.
You stare at its eye and you say, I'm going to eat you.
It was similar to beef jerky.
Yeah.
It's really salty.
Yeah.
It was good. I ate a little pile of them.
I had a couple spoonfuls. A little gritty for my taste, but I tried them. And then we drank Bud Light Lime and some Molson, which is a Canadian beer. I wonder if Uncle Richard got it for... Well, Kai doesn't drink, but he's Canadian. I don't know. And then the red wine was a flowing. And this is the night when Aunt was like, okay, I want to make a soundtrack for the ashes spreading ceremony. So she goes on Apple Music. And this is all on her phone. She just starts going through songs. Little Richard, Elvis Presley, Beatles, blah, blah, blah. And like the food, the music, the drink, my dad, New York, my Italian side, Sicilian... Like, it was just really a fun night. It was a
perfect night. We were laughing.
Yeah.
We were enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
We were in their cozy, cute kitchen.
Yeah.
Dining room.
Yeah. It
was great.
It was just so, like, lovely. Like, my heart was full. It meant so much to me. And just, we're going through... Yeah, Long Tall Sally, Little Richard, good song. She puts on Elvis, Hound Dog. I'm like, that's an okay song, but it's not the best Elvis song. Skip. Next song. And we're just doing it. So we're talking about music. We're listening to music. We got the vino flowing, a little bit of the alky. I was like, this is what I'm missing. If you're just joining us, I'm half Vietnamese. I don't get this from my Vietnamese side. And it's really weird because I'm so much closer, my personality is so much closer to my Italian side. But they're freaking 3,000 miles away. My Vietnamese side, good people. They've been there for me when I needed them. Not bad, but it's just not a vibe, dude. They're very buttoned up, very traditional, very stuck in the Vietnamese culture. And they speak Vietnamese 100% of the time unless they want to talk to me. So I'll get like 2 sentences in English, and that's wonderful. And I would say my mom, because my mom moved to San Diego and did her own thing, because sticking to the hardcore Vietnamese culture and tradition was not her bag. And so she's very Americanized. So I went that way. She raised me. And so there's a huge wave, a huge disconnect between me and my Vietnamese side. And I hold, they're good people. I hold zero ill will, but they're just not my peeps. But sitting around with Auntina, Uncle Richard, Emily, and Kai, and you, honey, I was like, man, this is what I'm missing. And I was just like, oh, they live so far. But we had the time together. It meant so much to me. The next night we went Italian, Auntina, with a little help from Kai. They made pasta. You helped them make meatballs, honey.
Yes.
In a cast iron pan, which you're against.
Am I?
You claim it's difficult to clean. We don't need it.
I'm not good enough of a cook to have an opinion on a pan. Let's be real.
Something called squirrel bread. It's basically just bread with a bunch of sesame seeds and stuff on it. Coffee ice cream with a brownie on top. Sauce versus gravy. Oh, very controversial in the Italians. Some people call it sauce. Some people call it gravy.
We call it marinara.
The red stuff. There's been fights. There's been fights over sauce versus gravy. Jersey Shore called it Sunday sauce, so I'm gonna go with Jersey Shore. They're Italian, right? The meatballs, dude, right out of the cast iron pan, like they were crunchy outside and then like delicate, fell apart on the inside. Meatballs were fantastic.
I helped make the meatballs, and I wrote it down step by step.
Yeah.
So now I can do it.
Good. The sauce / gravy. She didn't make original. She cheated. Okay, it's fine.
Oh, no.
It was good. And then the ice cream was a brand called Perry's, which I've never seen in the West Coast in my time in California. But it was Perry's Bittersweet Symphony coffee ice cream with bittersweet fudge swirls and fudge chunks. This freaking ice cream was the bomb, dude. I was like, most coffee ice cream, you're like, okay, I guess that's coffee ice cream, but you could really taste it, and it was done really well. I want to move to freaking New York just for this ice cream. You had some vanilla, which was a good vanilla, but yeah, Perry's ice cream. Do what the old people do. They've eaten everything on the planet, and they're in their 60s and 70s. They've narrowed it down to the best items, the best products, such as your mom. She gets only the best. Same with my mom. Take after their purchasing habits. Steal their ideas. They eat the best of the best. One morning we wake up and Uncle Richard's like, here's a farmer's breakfast. We were like, all right, I'm not a farmer. But so what it was tomatoes fresh from their garden. Drizzled in olive oil, balsamic vinegar, some garlic, sliced garlic, and some basil, or basil, if you want to pronounce it that way. I thought this was so freaking... We love tomatoes.
This was the best breakfast. Yes, we love tomatoes. Yeah. There was also a board with a couple chunks of cheese.
2 kinds of cheese.
And some crusty bread.
Some warm bread with a nice chewy crust.
And Uncle Richard said, don't be afraid to dip the bread in the olive oil.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoo, boy.
Game changer.
I will not be afraid.
Game changer. There was always fresh coffee. I didn't have to make our crappy great value coffee, our crappy great value bread, or crappy great value olive oil. Dipping that bread into the olive oil / balsamic vinegar was outrageous. And then, so I see Uncle Richard, he grabs the olive oil and he walks over to the tomatoes and he starts pouring some. And I'm like, okay, it needs a little more olive oil, whatever. Homeboy held the friggin' bottle of olive oil. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yes.
7 seconds of I was like,
Let it flow.
thanks for the extra 8,000 calories there, Uncle Richard. But yeah, it was
fantastic.
outrageous. Super good. Antina makes her own peanut butter, bro. And you're a creamy peanut butter gal. I'm a chunky peanut butter bro. How will our love survive? It's caused a rift in our marriage. But she blends it to where it's like grainy. It's a little gritty. It's perfect.
Yeah, she just throws the peanuts in the food processor.
Yeah.
And out comes magic. It was the perfect consistency.
Yeah.
I love that like grainy texture.
Yeah. It was so good. Yeah, the cheeses, I'm not a cheese guy. I had a piece of one of the blocks, but it was definitely a high quality cheese. Meanwhile, we got our grated, great value, sharp cheddar.
You don't let me splurge on cheese.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the full hearts and full bellies, Antina and Uncle Richard. Thank you for the 15 pounds I gained. America's too big, dude. Like, flying to them is 6 hours. My mom, 500 miles away. Let's just all, can we all get together? Like, go back to the Amish. Go back to, let's get a compound. Like the Latter-day Saints or whatever. Let's build some houses on a plot in Utah. And let's just all hang. Let's all live near each other. When we were hanging with Antina and Uncle Richard, I was like, this once a month, I would be here. We would be
imposing ourselves on them on a regular basis.
And they would be super welcoming, door open policy. We left the windows open all day. Like, so there was no fear of crime or breaking in.
Crime doesn't exist in Endicott.
Exactly. Meanwhile, your parents who were here taking care of Len and Luna. But your mom, like, closed our sliding door, which is on the second story. Like, no one's going to get in, Liz. But she's scared, paranoid.
I not on the second floor, but yeah, we're totally used to closing up all our windows on the first floor, locking every door.
Yeah.
Looking behind our shoulder.
But not the second floor.
No.
We leave windows open all the time. Okay, I see here in my notes that Liz and Alan did stay here for a couple days / nights. I haven't reviewed all 72 hours of video, but I will be, just to make sure he didn't nip at my beer. I see here in my notes that Liz may have access to the dark web. Well, let's just
oh, no.
FBI.gov. What about them sleeping, honey? Do they know about the outside clothes rule? Did they sleep in our bed? Did they sleep under our covers? Alan said he crashed on the couch one night, but then he got scared of Frankie because Frankie clawed me in the middle of my sleep.
Frankie is so annoying during the night. And for some reason, I didn't even think about this before we were leaving. And I knew my parents were going to stay here. Yeah. Frankie, he runs all over the house. He gets the zoomies. Yeah. He gets hungry and he'll jump up in your face and meow.
Oh, yeah.
So my poor dad and mom had to deal with that a little bit.
Well, so your dad went into our bedroom, closed the door, which is a no, which caused Frankie to scratch at the carpet. Thanks, Alan Fisher. They took out our trash as we instructed them to do so, although they did face the trash can and recycling cans in the wrong direction in the garage. These kids, you got to teach them young. You got to get them young. They did get lost. I see here in my notes, there were reports from Luna that they got lost going to McDonald's.
Oh, no.
West Sac is very small.
That's my fault. You told me before we left, give your parents instructions on to Rayleigh's, to McDonald's, like all the hot spots. Yeah. And I said, they'll figure it out.
Give them a Thomas Brothers book to all the local McDonald's. Yeah. And then there was a towel on the hook in our shower. That's not where we put towels, lizard lips. But overall, super grateful. Super grateful for Auntina and Uncle Richard. Super grateful for your parents for taking the kids for 3-4 days.
The kids had so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, a few days with Grandma and Grandpa doesn't get any better.
Alan took Lennox frisbee golfing, or
They played tennis.
tennis. Yeah.
They got sweets and
Yeah.
fast food.
Yeah.
They went on drives.
They went on walks.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're super lucky. I wish we all lived closer, but we don't. Anyways, yeah. So I got some of my dad in a little beaker, like from science class. And I'm going to bring him down to San Diego in about a month with my mom. We're going to go to the beach and spread his ashes there. Auntie and Uncle Richard are going to, I don't know, they have so many ashes of my dad. But another thing they're going to do is they're going to go to Tina and my dad's mom's side, her grave, and spread the ashes there. They'll still have tons of ashes. We were about to do that, but it was a long day. It was kind of rainy, kind of muggy. And I was just like, I just want to go home. Emily, she's a rock star. I met her once when she was 6 months old or whatever, when I was 13. But she's got an opinion, and she's hilarious, and she's so much fun. She drove us around everywhere. In Ithaca, where the streets are small, there's tons of parking. It was raining. No, I'm sorry. There's tons of cars parked. There is no parking. Tight streets, lots of hills up in where Cornell is. I was like, oh man, I would hate to be driving, but she didn't even worry about it. Well, she said, growing up there, you just drive. You drive to this town 20 minutes away. You drive to that town an hour away. We drove to one town, which was 20-ish minutes, 30 minutes away. And she's like, oh yeah, I drove my mom here 3 times a week when whatever she was doing, whatever in that town. I was like, wow, that's quite the drive. That's a lot of driving. But yeah, she was fantastic. Kai is cooking. Oh, so good. So good. And he's Hapa Brew, just like me. Yeah, my heart is full. But now, honey, real life sets in. It's back to making our own coffee. It's back to doing dishes. We went grocery shopping this morning, and I was like, oh, God, what the hell is the point of all this? It's back to life. Back to life. It's terrible. But that is life. Back to errands. Back to job. I gotta go back to work. But overall, just a fantastic week. Antine was perfect. I want to go to Vancouver, dude.
Yeah.
I want to go hang with Em and Kai. But yeah. Anything else, honey? Or are we done, honey?
I just feel really grateful that I got to be involved in all this.
Yeah.
I'm privileged to have married you and to be a part of all your extended family. I'm really thankful.
Yeah. They're a cast of characters, and they align with who I am, who I've become. And it's terrible, my dad dying, but we got this moment in life, this experience, and that was great.
Yeah.
Lots of laughs, lots of smiles, some tears, all love, and that's it. Are we done, honey?
Yes.
Okay, we're done. Oh, bye.
And oop.
Restart your plane. Alrighty, well, that's the end of the program. It's been fun, but not really. Let's all try a little harder next time. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, review, and rate. Or don't. Do whatever you want. You're a grown-up. Make your own decisions. Do what's best for your family. Please be sure to use our promo code for...
MeUndies.
We don't have a promo code for...
MeUndies.
Goodbye, my parasocial podcast friends. I love you. My wife and I love you. We hope you have a good day today and tomorrow. And sure, I may have wanted to use my wife's toothbrush. I don't think that's a big deal. In the end, because Antina had several. I grabbed one. She gave me one. But in the end, if we were in India or the outskirts of Mumbai, would you let me use your toothbrush, honey?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. But I'm still a good person, and we're still good people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for caring. I hope you have a wonderful day/night. All bar. Little addendum here. It's just me. It's a solo pod. My sparkling wifey is on the couch. Two things I wanted to mention. One was that one gentleman couldn't come to the spreading of the ashes. His name was Dan, cousin of my dad, but he said he was more like a friend. And he was telling me stories of kids being kids. But one thing is that they got wind of some local girls who were having a little get together at someone's house. And so him and my dad to be on the low, be on the DL, to be all Tom Clancy Ghost Recon spy level. They climbed under blackberry bushes. Like they dug dirt under blackberry bushes so they wouldn't be noticed, and then they kind of what do they call it when the army army crawled over to a bedroom window to eavesdrop and listen to what the girls were up to. All their girl stuff. Women, girls be shopping. Girls be shopping. Am I right? And then the other thing is that me and Carolyn, my wife, and we're talking to Leonard Gray, another cousin, and I think he put it best. He said, uh, "We all make bad decisions. We all make bad choices. We're idiots. We make choices not in our best interest, but they're easy to recover from, like having a pizza for breakfast or something like that." But my dad's choices at this particular point in his life, way back in the day, were just insurmountable, life changing. He couldn't recover from them. He couldn't go back to normal, and they were just they affected him for the rest of his life, and much more gravity to these decisions he made as opposed to just normal bad choices, everyday bad choices. He just could not bounce back from them. They changed his life until the end of his life. And I thought that was profound. Alrighty, the end. Bye.